The Rams are in the middle of that crowded NFC West as well, but they welcome this man and Philadelphia, who came in on a heater, and Saquon Barkley put on an absolute show to the tune of 255 rush yards. Those are the 9th most in a game in NFL history. I can see he has the headset on. Saquon, I can never tell if people can hear me. So my first question is, hi, this is Scott Van Pelt. Nice to see you again. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, welcome. And we could hear you, man. You put on a show. It's the first ever 200-yard game. But I know, because Jason Kelsey came to give you that ridiculous award that we give out from Countdown, and you said, I don't want the Hemi again until my O-line gets some love. So let's start up front. How do you describe the job those men are doing for you?
Yeah, I mean, they're amazing. They make me look a lot better out there on the football field. But the biggest thing that I take away for those guys is, one, how smart they are and how versatile they are. Any scheme, anything, we can call it inside zone, outside zone, counter, traps. They do it all. They're so athletic, and they all trust each other. And, you know, it starts with Stout and TJ, all those guys in the building. And, you know, those guys really take it in and practice, and it goes into the game. And we just, you know, we've been playing at a really high level.
There's a humility, which I appreciate, Saquon. At the same time, like, certain numbers are hard to ignore. Like 255, man, when I say that to you, that's what goes through your mind? I mean, these are bright lights, man, and 255, what do you got?
I mean, yeah, it definitely puts a smile on your face. And, you know, they told me on the sideline that I broke the Eagles franchise record. So these are things that I train for. I'm big on, you know, visualizing stuff, visualize success. So when stuff like this happens to me, you know, I kind of ready to put it out there and, you know, let it come to light. But I'm just in a spot right now where I'm happy, thankful for the organization to bring me in here, and just being consistent, seeing how consistent I can be. And, you know, it's all great now. Again, MVP chance and rush for 255 yards. But the beauty of the NFL, you got to get ready for next week, and we got to get ready for the Ravens.
Understood. But this team it was kind of wobbly, right, in the beginning of the year, and everybody's trying to figure out, find their footing. 7 straight wins, Saquon. If you take me into sort of the mindset of the group and how it builds, right? You talk about manifesting things, speak them into existence, like the kind of confidence you guys have. How do you describe it? I mean, because it has to be growing by leaps and bounds over these last 7 games.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it starts with winning. Winning makes a lot of things easier.
Right.
But I think it started when we were 2-2 and everybody was panicking. We didn't panic. Everybody on the outside said what they had to say, but in the locker room, we knew what we had, and we knew that we were going to be able to, you know, figure it out. And right now, we're on a good stride right now, getting 7 in a row. But like I said, it's a week-to-week basics, and we got to get ready for the Ravens.
All right, let me close with this, because, look, you mentioned being here and being happy, and you weren't part of their past, and they were real close to winning a Super Bowl. And then last year, they were right there, and then it all kind of goes wrong. You weren't part of that, right? But when you come in, I just wonder how much of the residual, we got close, and then things went wrong. I mean, how much of that still exists, right? Is that fuel for the guys that were there before you got there? Do you sense that at all?
No, I don't sense that at all. I think for me, it was, you know, a blessing for me coming in for a fresh start. I didn't have to deal with all that. The highs of them going to the Super Bowl or how the season ended last year. It was a fresh start. So we came in with the mindset in OTAs and offseason that we're going to grind, kind of like a college mindset, push each other,
right,
compete with each other, you know, build those relationships. That was really helpful for me being a new guy coming in, and just be able to get to know everybody. And when you get to know people and, you know, respect people, you see it out here in the football field. You go out there and you guys play harder for each other, and that's what's been going on. That's been showing. So obviously I know what happened in the past, and we're focused on not getting too high, not getting too low, and, you know, take it one day at a time. But we are aware that, you know, we're a good group, a great group, and we got some bad, you know, I can't curse here, some bad MFers on our squad, and we just got to keep building and keep working off of it.
Hard not to be high off of this performance. 255 is outrageous, and you guys have won 7 in a row. Have a fantastic Thanksgiving, Saquon. Enjoy it with friends and family and food and all that good stuff, and be well. I appreciate you taking a minute, all right?
Yes, sir. Always a pleasure having me. Happy Thanksgiving to you, too.
Barkley, rushing touchdown of 70 and 72 yards, becoming the 6th player in NFL history with 2 70-yard rushing touchdowns in a single game. Last time it happened 15 years ago, Maurice Jones-Drew. Tim Hasselbeck in studio every Sunday to talk about the goings-on in the league, and let's start right here with Philadelphia. Detroit owns its perch atop the NFC, and they deserve all the accolades they've gotten. This Philadelphia team, they are a green arrow pointing up in a loud way. What have they figured out in this 7-game win streak?
The run game, and I think that's important. You know, you think of Kellen Moore, new offensive coordinator, creative passing game, all that stuff, but also probably needs to learn his own guys, and I think he's done that. You look at him tonight, it's just a zone read run. So the offensive line is zoning this off to the left, and then they're going to have a bubble to protect up top any overhang player, and then the guy that's being read is Jared Verse right here. Well, there's a couple keys to this. Not only are you not blocking a very good defender at the point of attack, but Scott, when you get this type of movement up front, you just take a look at the movement they're getting. I mean, defensive tackle is pushed 5 yards back. That's an easy read. And then obviously Saquon Barkley hitting the hole hard matters quite a bit. So it's just a simple zone read run. Now it's split zone, meaning everyone's going to block, zone to the right, and then here comes the tight end to scrape across. A lot of times in these split zone runs, what they'll do is they'll wind back behind that tight end. But Saquon is such a good zone runner. He does a great job of reading it. Now, the guy I want you to watch is Landon Dickerson, the left guard. Watch him work with Juergens up to the linebacker, and then Saquon stays front side, and then you get to this point, and then it's just over because that's just Saquon, his speed and the ability in the open field. So I think what's happened is the guys up front are good. They're big up front. They're coming off the ball. They obviously are doing things that Saquon's really comfortable with, and then it's getting him to the second level, which is why you see monstrous games, when that happens. Like, you don't rush for 250-something because it's just, getting muddied up. You're getting great movement, and then he's an elite open field runner.
At Baltimore, Pittsburgh comes to town. They come here to the district to take on Washington, who we'll talk about here shortly. But you don't have to squint too hard to see a pile of wins. What are you projecting might be where Philadelphia ends up?
I think they easily get to 12 wins. So you're easily at 12. And then the idea of having it be 13 because, look, it's not like Baltimore's been on fire. Washington hasn't been on fire. And so next thing you know, any stubbing your toe by Detroit, Philadelphia is easily in the mix when you look at the way their schedule plays out.
And it is kind of wild just to go back to the beginning of the year and look, I think back to that Cleveland game at home, which they won, but they barely beat Deshaun Watson, who's struggling, and Sirianni's yelling at the fans, and everybody's just, it felt like you didn't imagine then that this would be what we were looking at.
No, because they're bullying people right now in the run game. Back then, it was like, wait, is this going to last? Is this going to hold up? When a head coach is yelling at people in the stands,
not great.
That doesn't typically translate to sustained success.
I'm not done yet. I don't plan on tanking. If the higher ups was looking for a draft pick, I hope that's ruined because we got a lot of football left to play. Like I said, as long as I'm a part of this team, we're always going to fight. I'm always going to give maximum effort. I owe it to these guys. I owe it to the fans that come out. I owe it to the brothers in the locker room. So, at one point, I think this is just about pride. It's easy to play when we're up. People call us front runners. Now playing behind the 8 ball, let's see how we can, handle adversity and see if we can make a playoff run. But we got a long ways to go.
38 points in the final 6 minutes, and going back to the Super Bowl era, that goes back to '66. Only game where both teams scored a 40-yard touchdown in the final 30 seconds of regulation. Terry McLaurin's 86-yarder immediately answered by the onside kick. Scoop and score by Dallas. Washington unable to pull off another miracle like they did against Chicago. And now, to quote Boomer, TJ, once is an accident, twice is a trend, 3 times is a problem. This is 3 losses in a row for Washington. Tim, the issues that you see are what?
Well, in a divisional game, you do some of the things that they did today, mainly turning the football over. And oftentimes the turnovers came after they had just, had a takeaway. Like that definitely hurt them. So you turn it over 3 times, it's hard to win a football game. You turn it over 3 times, and then you give up a special teams score, that's going to be difficult. And so I think like that, and then you combine the fact that, hey, there we are in a really close game, and you've got 2 missed extra points. Like good teams can't do that against below average teams in the National Football League. Just looking at what you're doing, the highlight, you're there 3 minutes. You're facing Cooper Rush. You're kicking off. Like Jaden Daniels kind of is moving the football. Right. Like you're going to get the football back in a really good situation, and then after he, doesn't field it cleanly, you give up a run back. So, look, I don't think the issue is on offense. I think the issue is you got to look at it defensively, and then special teams failed them today in a major way.
I don't get the go for two crowd. Like, I understand the way social media works. You're just supposed to go for everything all the time. I mean, if Dallas is not a good football team,
no, and you're at home.
Tie the game.
Yeah.
You're at home. Am I okay? We agree. Okay,
all
right, we agree there.
Yeah.
It didn't work. They missed the extra point and they lost the game. Is part of this, in your estimation, like the Daniels-Kingsbury marriage? Everyone loved it early, right? You got this rookie, everything's going. Now you got half a year's worth of tape. The National Football League is going to figure out, all right, what do they do? Let's take away what they do and let's make them do something else. Is that part of this, do you think?
I really don't think that's it. When
Okay.
I look at Jaden Daniels, I think he had a good day. I think he played pretty well. And I think when you look at the turnovers that he had, just look at their offensive turnovers. He's throwing a screen to Robinson that it's an unlucky bounce and it goes to a D lineman. That doesn't typically happen. The other interception is on a Hail Mary. You saw the tight end catching the ball over the middle that gets punched out, Bates. Right. And so when you see that, I actually thought Daniels threw the ball and ran the ball effectively. Mm-hmm. Typically, if an offensive is struggling, the quarterback isn't playing well. And so I don't think that that's an issue.
I'd say you got Tennessee coming in on a bye and the Saints, but look, the Saints have won a couple. Tennessee just goes to Houston and wins, and you're supposed to beat Dallas. At this point, we still talking about a playoff team from Washington?
I think so. I do think so. But you do. This is where
shaky ground. I wasn't like, yeah, Scott.
Because this is why. I think this is where the veteran leadership on your team needs to be like, all right, hey, now we've got someone's got to put a stop to this at some point. And I think that they're young in some spots. And so for that to happen, it'll be interesting of the young leadership.
I don't think there's a great team in the West. We can safely say that, but there's clearly not a bad team in the West. So as we sit here now, we head into Thanksgiving week. It's going to be a sprint or a stumble to the finish in the West. Who do you like here?
Yeah, so I think I like the Cardinals. And I would say this, when you look at it, I agree with you. I think the way you said it's right. There's not a bad team. But when you look at the Niners, it's like this is kind of who they are. And it doesn't seem like it's going to be an easy fix for them. When you look at the Rams, look, we just watched them give up 250-plus yards to Saquon on the ground. They can't stop the run. When I look at the Cardinals, I say, I think what they're trying to be, I think is how you win the division. And I think when you look at the rest of their schedule, I think it leans you to saying, look, they have the best shot to get there, to get 4 more wins if possible. And I say that because they want to run the ball. Connor didn't run the ball well today in Seattle, but he has been running the football well. That, I think, matters quite a bit. And then I think they're playing good defense. I mentioned to you earlier in the year about having Kyler Murray under center more. I actually think that helps him. Look, do I trust Geno more than Kyler? I actually do, Scott. But Geno hasn't had a great year either. Geno's made a lot of bad mistakes, kind of
that O-line in front of him has been a problem.
Correct. And so those are the reasons why I actually think it's Arizona. I think Arizona is the team that wins that division.
And you know what? I respect the fact that you say that after this performance today because Kyler, this was the kind of thing where I'm probably guilty of this, where you go into this game, it's going to be rainy, it's in Seattle, it's like, all right, let me see him play to his ceiling. And you just didn't see that in this game. I mean, it's a 4th and 1. I get that you have to try to make a play, but you can't make a mistake that leads to that leads to that situation.
No, not when the score is that way. And I think that's where there can be growth on Kyler's part. Is it's 4th down, you need to get rid of the football, but you can't have it end up in a defensive score. Look, Seattle's a hard place to play. And so
typically it hadn't been this year.
I know, but we see this in divisional games. We saw it Thursday. We saw it with the Cowboys and with the Commanders. And so I do think that is part of it.
3 of the next 5 for both the teams that we just discussed, Arizona and Seattle, are on the road. I'm with you on San Francisco. It just feels like a lost year where they just have been so banged up that I don't know how they extricate themselves from this hole. But I also don't have any idea who's going to win the West. I admire you for making a pick.